Hello, I Smoke New York, and welcome to this edition of the podcast. You like that, man? I'm just joking. It's supposed to be you. Hello, the one and all.
Yo, what's up, man?
Hi.
That's Lemonberry Candy. This was in the New York Growers Cup.
What's up, OG? How you doing, man? Good to see you. It's my boy Honest Farm. We got the no good Staten Island boys in the house.
What up? What up?
Shout out one of the best dispensaries in the state, Super Micro supporter.
Thank you, sir.
Hello and welcome to I Smoke New York. This is episode 15. We are down a man this week, but that doesn't mean we're going to be any lesser. We are live from the New York Cannabis Retail Association's third annual industry event. Woo-hoo. Industry event is, I think, the title of the event that we are at.
It's popping.
It's popping downstairs, but we're on the third floor in this white room. Welcome. To my right, I've got Dr. Dankenstein. Are we going with, I'm just going to keep rolling with Dr. Dankenstein. Great.
How y'all doing?
And across the table from me, of course, we've got the Kolektor. He's sleepy.
Not at all. I'm wide awake.
He's wide awake now. He's great.
I'm
Great.
wide awake.
I love it.
Cashews give you energy, like.
Just because I'm tired of the industry doesn't mean I'm
Right.
tired of the podcast. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying?
It's a rare evening recording for us. We are here live at, what is it, like 7 something on a
I just drove
Friday night.
7 hours. Yeah.
9 something like that. You drove from all the way down upstate. I came.
The real New York. Nah, joking. Yo, look at it. Even people are mad.
Yes, we've got people in the background. Yeah. There's people in the background here. Of course, a huge shout out to, as always, up front, Joe from Gasroots for filming and recording the podcast here.
Thank you, Joe.
And Fabian from Jackson Heights, who's in the background munching on some snacks.
Making us look good.
And of course, he's taking photos.
At all times.
As
And
always.
shout out Dave, too, and Dave's wife for making those delicious muffins.
Please, yes, a huge shout out to Dave, our producer, who is downstairs currently manning the New York Growers Cup table on my behalf. So if you see a man who looks like One Punch Man at the table, that's David. Say hello. Anyway, we'll be talking with some special guests this episode. We usually would start with a what we're smoking, but you guys don't smoke weed anymore. You've quit weed forever.
That's just not true.
It's ridiculous.
It's just not true.
It's preposterous. I rolled a joint.
Ben likes to talk shit.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it
Yes,
is,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, 100%.
What are you smoking, Ben?
I'm smoking the very end of the little bit of biscotti sherb I have left from KGB, way up in Buffalo, upstate in the real New York. And it's some of my favorite weed I've ever smoked on earth, and I'm sadly running out of it. It's so good.
Buffalo grows fire, dude. Like 716 Farmer, he grows fire. Good Times grows fire. There's a lot of people up there.
We've shouted out Buffalo a few times, and I love to shout out Buffalo specifically because they are the probably second most popular area for entries in terms of entries in the cup every year.
Yep.
Like, we get a ton from Long Island, we get a ton in the general vicinity of the city, we get plenty upstate in general, Syracuse area, whatever. I'm not trying to... Rochester, definitely. But Buffalo shows out hard as fuck. It's crazy, like a ton of entries up in Buffalo.
And I think they just have a big grow community, you know, like that used to be the Beaster area because it's so close to Canada. Like, you know, so like, bro, they used to funnel, you know.
It looked really good, but it smelled far. Like, it didn't have a smell, right?
So it was smelled weird. I don't even know.
Like a weird pack, yeah.
It looked weird, smelled weird, feel weird.
It was the first weed that I remember, though, seeing, like, it had hairs and, like, looked like more alive than the horrific, you know, like...
Yellow, brown, dried.
Yeah, the stuff you're getting, the Reggie, like, that shit is just, like, it was brown and dark. Brickweed.
I'd still,
you know,
lots
of
of the times, I would have taken over the brickweed. I would taken the brickweed over that just because sometimes the Beasters didn't get me high. Like, that was my biggest. Sometimes it would, like, wreck you, and then other times it was, like, didn't taste right. It didn't get you high. Little headache.
It looked good, but it was far from it.
I was just happy to be there. I was just excited that it existed. I was like, wow, look at this weed.
It looked cool.
Oh,
we had
That's
no
it.
other reference at the time, right?
Right.
So it was like,
Yes.
this is great for the time.
Except for, do you remember in the old High Time magazines?
Oh,
like
yeah,
way
yeah.
back when you'd see that bud in the back, but it was like you could buy it and it was legal. I was just talking about
yes.
so like, you remember that shit? And it like
1,000,000%,
looked fire.
yeah. No, it didn't look fire.
No, I
It did
thought
not
it did
look
when I
fire.
was like 13.
No.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
he
did.
did. Yes, he did.
I bought Mark
In the
Emery seats
treehouse,
out of the back of the High Times. That's what I got. In a CD, it came in a CD, it was
Yep,
great.
DVD
but
case
yes,
and
but no, not the, this
You
is
remember that,
pre-DVD that I'm talking about. But I
Yeah.
do remember
It
seeing
was
that being
like-
like, it looked gross. They sold it at
was weird.
Utopia in Connecticut. There was a head shop, shout out to Utopia, which I think closed recently, which is very sad. It was the head shop I grew up with. But they sold that shit. They also sold like Salvia. Like, it was
Oh my
wild,
God.
wild.
We used to get
Bro,
wrecked off Salvia.
no, so I did it once and never again, bro. So like this dude pulls up. We used to smoke weed together all the time. Hydro was out. We was smoking hydro and shit, right? And he was like, "Yo, try this." And I was like, he's like, "It's called Salvia." I was like, "All right, cool." Like I would never. This guy doesn't do drugs. Like I had no expectations of like
gonna be
him doing
fun.
something bad.
It looks harmless.
So he's like, "Yo, try this."
Smells bad.
So he had it in a pipe, and he was like, as I'm hitting it, clearing it like it's a bowl of weed. As I'm hitting it and clearing it, he's like, "No, it's not like weed."
Time slowed down.
Bro, he told me that I opened the car door and I started throwing up.
Oh.
What I saw was a bunch of little people building my neighborhood and putting the buildings together.
That sounds
As
right.
I looked, they were like rushing to build it and put it together. I was like,
Were they upset that
Bro.
you saw behind the curtain
Tweaked
and
out.
then they all freaked out and then
Tweaked out.
went back to reality?
tweaked out.
You
And
were
then
like,
went back to reality. He's like, "Yo, you good?" And I was like,
they're surrounding us right now. They're in the room
Yo,
right now.
see, I know this is true because I can see you getting a flashback right now.
instant flight. I will never forget that experience.
Yo,
Never.
yeah,
I
that
lived
shit's
in
wild.
Pelham
So
Bay
you're
in the
not
Bronx.
smoking salvia, I guess, right now. That's not what you're smoking.
No.
But you
We have
are
a batch.
genuinely not smoking right now. But
No,
you
tea
do have a
break.
batch coming.
Break.
Please.
We have
please.
a batch about to drop in stores, yeah.
Hey.
What's in the batch? Tell me about the batch.
So 3 of the strains are the same. 2 of them, 1 of them is different. We have the 1353, which is the gelato to the gelato. The OG, which is the kosher kush, OG 18. I'm still a burnout, even though I've been on a tea break.
He's like,
Even though I've been on a tea break for
the
that
candy
long.
cane, perhaps?
Candy cane.
Oh yeah,
That's
one's
the other
fire.
one.
I can
And then
remember
the
your strains.
odd
It's
job.
fine.
And then the odd one out
Sure.
is the Marauder,
Okay.
which is Devil Driver Cross.
Oh,
Okay.
Devil Driver.
Godmother's is known for her Devil Driver crosses. So it's a Devil Driver cross.
Is that like Tiki Man that does that? Yeah.
Tiki Madman.
In Michigan, is it? Yeah, Tiki Madman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm
He is
trying to be
fire.
like, excuse me.
And then this
Actually.
round, we didn't have them the last round, but this round we'll have pre-rolls of all those strains.
Hey.
So we only had 1 SKU last run, or 4 SKUs, I guess?
Yeah,
4 different
4.
strains?
Yeah.
But now we'll have 8 SKUs this next round because it's 4 strains of 8s and 4 strains of pre-rolls.
Can I just tell you real quick that I hate the word skew so much, and every
We're in
time
the
somebody says
professional
it,
world,
Yeah,
man.
but
I know.
don't care what
Come
you
on,
hate.
come on.
speaking like robots. God damn it.
That's the way you got to talk
No,
to
I
these shop
know, I
owners,
know.
man.
I have 8 individual.
They talking SKUs and units.
Yeah.
Yes.
And an 8th is a
Yes.
unit.
An 8th is a
It's
unit.
like, whoa.
Pre-rolls a unit.
Nobody's talking
Yeah.
pounds.
Nobody's talking
It's all
pounds.
very
Dude,
confusing.
the
Hey, I'm
first-
trying to sell you a pound. What do you mean? How many units?
Right.
A unit's a pound. No, it's an eighth.
You know how you can convert it. You know the conversion.
Got it. So we're not doing pounds anymore.
Correct.
Stores are ordering like 100 units,
Right. It's weird.
50 units of each strain.
It's weird.
And like, yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's something to get used to, but
Yes.
that's where we at.
You know
now.
what's
fine.
funny? I thought the pre-rolls were only going to be here for like a little while in the industry, but I'm coming to full
Pre-rolls?
realization. Yeah, they're the
No,
new
bro,
thing.
leave
little while.
People can't roll anymore. Like they don't know how to roll. I
Yeah,
talked to
so
them.
it's
not
They
that they
want
don't know how to
fucking,
roll,
you know,
bro.
it's
It's
crazy.
convenience.
Yes.
Right.
The market is switching over to convenience. Somebody was talking about this recently.
Not even the like. Look
I
at
want
New
to say
York City.
Cap. I think Capulator was talking about it recently, and the market is converting over to convenience.
Right.
His
would say-
like 8s aren't moving as fast as pre-rolls, vape cards,
Pre-rolls fly.
edibles, and all that other shit. You know what I mean?
I don't know about Capulator's particular situation because his market is very different being in LA.
Cali, yeah, LA.
But I would say in New
Shout
York
out to the
City,
piece of green.
especially in Manhattan, and especially with dispensaries in Manhattan, like licensed dispensaries in Manhattan, you of course pre-rolls and vape carts are going to go like crazy because it's accessibility. It's quick, and people are walking past. It's going to be like commuters, tourists. They're going to be hitting those spots more than like, you know, it's not like neighborhood people in the Flatiron, right? Like it's like people who are here in the city for either like their work
I mean,
or
I can see a
tourism.
neighborhood person.
There are people who
somebody
live
that's
there,
been
but, you know.
smoking for a while, like running out to go meet friends, and it's just like, yo, let me stop in and cap a pre-roll real quick. And then,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like I can
100%.
see that.
Look, if there was good hash holes at dispensaries like that, I would definitely do that sometimes, you know?
Talking about hash holes.
Yeah, get the fucking
People in
hash
the
holes
legal
from the
industry
motherfucker.
aren't gonna buy hash holes.
Not yet. There's some bagel holes out there. MFNY does them.
Yeah, I don't think they do very well.
I don't know how they do it all.
I don't know,
But I'll
but-
bet if I owned a dispensary, I'd be selling a lot of hash
You'll
holes.
learn
That's all
the
I'm saying.
customer is different.
Yeah, you need to listen, you have to create your consumer base. This is another conversation. Separate
Hold on,
conversation.
let's stick
We
to
got
the
other
topic.
shit to talk about, guys.
Stick to the
Please,
topic.
please, excuse me. So let's do a little bit of we got some New York cannabis news to, of course, talk about. The ongoing shenanigans.
There's a lot of stuff to be
First and
honest.
foremost, actually, a little bit of I'm just excited. We got a fucking license. The New York Growers Cup got a license.
Hey.
We got a processor's license so that we can both legally put our logo onto jars for, say, like a winner of the cup, but also so we could have our own brand, we could do brand deals with other people, we could, whatever.
And I would highly suggest to the viewers out there, like if you want to get into the industry in New York, that's where you should start. It's an unlimited license. It's probably the easiest you can get, you know, and you
not
can
just
still
that.
brand your brand, you know.
Also, you can apply to it right now. It's open.
Yeah, you can apply. Right.
You can apply currently.
Was it
And then not just
$2,000?
that, if you're a micro or a brand currently in the market, you can use the Growers Cup as a
Jumping off point?
jumping point where you can market through the grower. We can do the marketing and we'll brand it for you in our bags or our jars, whatever we decide to do, probably jars.
I wouldn't
you
say
grow
white
fire.
label though, right? Like the idea.
No, it's
for
not
me-
white label,
And
so-
we're talking about this live, which is hilarious. But like, I feel like it's always for me, like it's about highlighting growers, right? So it's always got to be like that. Where
So
we're
no
like
matter what,
highlighting
even
growers
if it's a Growers Cup jar, there's always going to be a manufactured by section on the jar, and the manufactured by section will be the grower we're getting.
I would go further than that. I would say even as far as to be like presenting and the grower's logo is there
On the jar?
I would say bigger than ours, right? Like it would be about framing a grower rather than like framing it around like this is a guarantee, like a statement of quality that it's in
Right.
this jar, and then this grower is who grew it. That's that's the big part, right? Is really about like and presenting that grower to people so they know what that
Right.
is,
No.
can follow them, whatever, right?
It's like how I built my brand in Legacy. It's like if it came from me, people really didn't ask questions. Like they knew it was going to be this certain quality because I only ever have that. You know, it's like the same kind of vouching for the quality.
It'll
of
help
theirs.
get visibility on your brand.
It's like the Nintendo seal of quality. I'm really old.
You're a geek.
That's from the original Nintendo. I'm sorry. Yes. Anyway, we got a license. That shit is dope. I'm excited. We don't have to talk about it forever. but
excited
There's a lot of
It's
opportunities
dope,
for
though.
that.
It's cool. Yeah.
I'm excited to do more stuff in the license market directly. I've already been working with some licensed growers separately, but like this is something we can do with all together as the New York Growers Cup, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Separately to that, that's exciting. On the total opposite end of things, isn't the licensed industry depressing to work in?
Wow, why is he throwing us under the bus?
It is though,
It's,
right? Like this is the
Dude,
part
it's-
that
yeah,
we were
it's
talking
not
about this
that-
separately.
So it's easier for some than it is for others, obviously. Like people like us we don't come from money, you know what I'm saying? So the most exhausting part is the build out, you know, like
Yeah.
it's a slow, if you decide that, you know, the slow build is your thing, then you're gonna be building out for very many years.
Like
You're
10,
also trying
12.
to pay yourself, if you're trying to outsource some stuff, like
Scaling.
Scaling is gonna take a very long time. So we're looking for funding. That
Right.
shit's exhausting.
And just for people out there that always are messaging on Instagram and it looks really good on Instagram, you know, like I still haven't paid myself yet. Like
Yo.
in like 5 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, and we're hustling every day, working
We're
harder
hustling,
than
man.
I ever
Hustling.
have, you know. And it's-
Absolutely.
But yeah, it is definitely difficult. Like the grow is gonna cost $800,000 to build.
That's
so
on the low end.
That's right.
You're lowballing yourself, bro. We're
I
upwards
know.
of $5 million for this indoor facility.
Yeah.
And that's everything. Lab, kitchen, cultivation, veg, mom, retail.
But
And
it's
it's
in parts,
doable,
right? So you
but-
can do it in parts so that you're not
Yeah, we're
like,
gonna
it's
do
not
it
a
in
$5
parts.
million buy-in out of the jump.
No, but one floor is gonna cost $1.5 to $2 million.
Right, of course.
Even to get there, there's 3 people on my team. To get to the point where we have $1.5 million to spend, it's gonna take us fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
what
And
I'm
that's why
saying?
I've been really considering like teaming. It's kind of funny because they said this in the mentorship program, like teaming up with somebody that has a built out facility, going there, showing them kind of how to grow indoor a little bit or this and that.
Can't move your
and
license.
using there. Yeah, you absolutely can.
So,
Unless they change
can
that.
you?
You move your license.
People move licenses like mad long ago when you really weren't supposed
Oh,
to.
yes, you're right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
you're
you
right.
can.
They said
now.
you couldn't originally though, so that sucks.
Originally,
but yes,
you
now
can
you
move your
were able
license.
to.
If somebody has a facility built out, yeah, you could probably partner with them.
Yeah, I know a few
They're gonna
people.
want some equity. So
Or
look out.
profit
That's
sharing.
another thing. Piggybacking off of that. Watch these deals people are trying to give you, bro. Like
I've not seen a
people
single
wanna-
good deal.
Yo, people are trying to take your company. They're trying to take your profits. They want to give you a little salary to work off of while they reap the benefits, bro. It's tough to navigate. You got to make sure you really vet these deals out, man, and vet the people too. Like you don't want to end up working for somebody that's just about the dollar. You know what I'm saying? That's just about the bottom line, because then it sucks the passion out. Like it sucks the fun out of it. You know what I mean?
So that's what we were talking about. That specifically is that like, you know, I said something online about like how turning your passions into work kills them. And that's like, I did this previously. Like I covered the video game industry because I grew up loving video games. I still love video games, but like for a long time, it made it so I did not like video games. Like
Once
when
you did it professionally.
when you become like, it becomes part of your job and you're like, oh, I'm reviewing this console. It sounds fun to do that. And it is the first time, but like the third or fourth time, you're like, this is a lot of fucking work and I'm exhausted and now I kind of hate this.
Well, and then add on top of it that you need to like hit a certain number per light to
gotta
be able
get
to
paid.
make your
Totally,
fucking
yeah.
money. And then it's like, I don't even like to grow
Cover
like
your
that.
overhead.
Right. It definitely is. And I think there's a way
These
to
are
do
all
both of it.
obvious things, of course. Like, I don't mean to be like, oh, poor us. The weed is so tough. Like, it's not like
No,
that.
no,
It's just
not
like
that.
fucking, it sucks when you love something and it hurts.
Heed the warnings,
Yes.
right?
And
it's
be
not all
realistic.
sunshine and rainbows, bro.
Right.
Like, building these licenses out, not all sunshine and rainbows. It's tough. It's gonna be tough. If you're about to get licensed or just got licensed, understand, it is not easy. And it's not gonna be easy.
And I mean, I think a big part of us having this is we're able to like tell people stuff that, to warn them or to like help them out. Like if you're gonna go and be intentional.
Well,
know what I
also, you
mean?
need people around you that are gonna kind of help you out. Like, I'm glad I have Sensei. Fucking bless Sensei's heart, because he's like the optimistic one. He's the one that's like, yo, we got this. It's gonna happen. And I'm like,
Yes.
bro, when? You know what I'm saying? Like, when? But yeah,
all
you
the
need,
perfect yin and yang, bro.
you need balance. You need
Yeah.
balance for sure. Because I mean, Ben was on the chat not too long ago, like, yo, I'm fucking tired of this shit.
Yeah, dude.
Tired of it. You know what I'm saying? And we were the ones there to be like, yo, just hold on.
Yeah.
It's gonna get there. It's gonna take some time.
I mean, it
And-
gets frustrating seeing all the wild shit that happens in the market and the amount of
Yes.
money people are making from doing wild shit, doing deceptive shit, doing all the shit you don't want to see. And though, like,
People who have sold their souls.
so to speak to that for a second,
real.
at the most recent cannabis, Cannabis Control Board, excuse me,
Right.
CCB meeting.
CCB meeting.
When the OCM last issued a bunch of licenses on Valentine's Day, they also announced the Trade Practices Bureau, which is a new enforcement division
Yeah.
that is specifically focused on
Dankenstein.
rooting out various nefarious practices, or as they put it, regulatory offenses.
Sounds like gaslighting to me. Just gaslighting.
There you go.
And so what such regulatory offenses, you might be wondering? Inversion. What is inversion? Inversion is taking product from out of state and putting it into the legal market in New York and selling it in
The
stores.
opposite of backdooring.
It's
Yeah.
indooring.
Indooring.
Indoor.
I guess.
It's still backdooring. It's just reverse backdooring
the reverse
or something.
backdooring.
I don't
There you
know.
go.
That's all
Yeah.
sounds
You're
ridiculous.
not pulling out of the legal market.
Anyway, it's called inversion, actually.
Inversion.
Turns out. I'd never heard
That's
that
the
term
professional
before.
term.
That's the term.
And I will say that'll fucking mess up a lot of people's days.
That I'm
'cause
sure,
there's
yes.
some big places that have been definitely taking advantage of that.
Well, that's the
Which-
bullshit, right? Because people don't understand, like, you could buy a fucking Oklahoma pack for $400, $500, and then come into the New York market and sell it fucking $30 an eighth
Right.
wholesale. So
That's gonna smoke local outdoor a lot of
gonna-
times.
Which, to be clear,
you're talking about
Outdoor
outdoor. Yeah, you're
specifically,
talking about outdoor. Indoor would be a little more expensive, but still, it doesn't matter.
which, to be clear, when you say $30 an eighth wholesale, what you're talking about in terms of a pound is just shy of $4,000 a pound.
Which is good money.
Yeah, we do.
$32 an eighth is $4,000 a pound.
Yep.
It's roughly $1,000 for every $4 you put in.
Yeah.
I've had to do
So
this conversion a lot of
it
times.
sucks because you got people like us who are doing the right thing, who are paying our rent, paying our electricity, doing everything we got to do, and our overhead ties into those pounds, and our margins aren't as good as somebody who's doing this inversion
Absolutely.
shit. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
The margins are insane. They're like 300%, 250%, like ridiculous. Yes.
Well, if you're inverting.
So I'd be fascinated to know how they're going to track that, considering there's no track and trace system in New York. So
Track
I
and
don't know
trace
how
isn't in
you do
play
that.
yet.
And I don't know. Like I'd love to. I don't know. I don't know that anybody in the OCM can tell the difference between work packs and in-state packs, but maybe. I would love to know. We might find out later on this episode. Who knows?
There's some
Who knows?
connoisseurs. There's some connoisseurs out there, you know?
Anyway, in addition to the inversion situation, they're also going to be looking into other, like, much less exciting stuff, like
Yeah.
ownership violations, where you have like ownership in multiple licenses that you're not supposed to, which is technically called a true party of interest violation. But let's not
Do you
talk
know the
about any of
percentage
that.
Yeah, it's pretty
threshold
lame.
for the TPI?
What's that?
The threshold to become a TPI, is it over 10 or over 14?
It's, I believe,
Oh,
10.
10, yeah.
Regardless, there's also stuff like license stacking, predatory lending, fraudulent reporting, fraudulent laboratory practices where labs say like, oh, you've got like 300% THC in this, it's crazy. And you're like, oh, it's not.
They
it's
drop
not
10
possible.
strains and every strain is 30%?
But yeah, there was apparently a New York Times report as well that said there have been reports of surplus weed grown in states like California. States like California. and funneled into licensed stores in New York.
My God.
But this is something that's really common in all legal states, right? Like backdooring or reverse backdooring in this case, I guess, is like pretty normal. Like the concept of California, for instance, licensed growers in California, licensed brands, whatever, ending up out of the state is like
common practice.
people are.
I was selling Kelly Pack before it was cool. Actually, no, it's when it
Brandon.
was cool. Now it's not cool. Yeah.
Now it's not. I
Right.
mean, now that you're licensed, it's not cool.
Yeah, and that's
License changes things,
no.
son.
And on that inversion thing, which is funny about that, and I think people would think it's the opposite way. 9 times out of 10, it's the legacy like person who was considered a criminal a while ago that purposely won't do that stuff, and it's the Chad motherfuckers that are like totally taking advantage
Because it's
of
just
that.
about the money. It's about making the 1 become a 2, and
Yeah.
the 2 become a 4, and so on and so forth, right? Like that's the, I don't know, I'm not trying to be like that. It sucks, yes. It's money at any cost. But otherwise, just very quick, before we jump into talking to some folks who are here at the event, also from the CCB meeting, there was a slide that demonstrated that there is a slow but steady decline in average monthly sales per dispensary.
Think that wasn't gonna happen?
That was
Gotcha,
put up by yes, like
That's
it's like
scary for retailers, huh?
of course, yes. If you're a retailer, especially if you're a retailer who got licensed or is in the waiting process for a license and is like, oh God, it's going to be. Am I going to be?
And
it's going to be
opened-
worth it by the time I open, basically.
And open
right?
the store the size of the Apple store?
Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of bad people making bad business decisions in terms of store openings. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But just in general, the concept of there's now 307,
So why
at
is
least as
that?
of today, I believe.
Is that because there's so many more licenses?
They're
So
giving
many
them out
more
every month.
Way
retailers?
more licenses, yes.
So what happens? These people want,
Or excuse me, way more stores have
2,000
opened, is what I
right?
mean, not just licensed.
Like I did a poll on Legacy Growers a while ago, which was like, how many licenses should there be? When reading retail specifically, unlimited, 1,000, 2,000, or only mine.
You know my perspective.
It was unlimited. Like the general people said, but so doesn't this go completely against what you're saying? It's
No,
going to tank everything.
because it's market normalization. It's like when
It's
during
gonna
COVID.
level out. It goes
remember
up,
during
it
COVID
goes
when all
down,
these
and then it
companies
levels.
made all this money suddenly, and they like Home Depot, for instance, is a good example of this. There's a number of companies that like their sales spiked. There might be somebody attacking from the outside in this facility.
Something's trying to get in.
But during COVID, a lot of companies' sales spiked, went way the fuck up because of COVID, and they made all these dumb predictions about the next 2 years because their sales had spiked during COVID. And then of course, like a year or two later, when those sales were no longer incredibly high because of a global pandemic, they normalized, and that's normalization, is what it is.
People were getting
the
free money,
market at
bro.
the beginning of the market. It's going to be a feeding frenzy, so people make a lot more money. People are just excited that stores exist.
In the beginning.
And then at a certain point, there's more stores, you have more options. Maybe you're just not as excited about the weed. Maybe you're 60 and you tried a few times and then you stopped or
You used
whatever,
to have
right?
to take the train to the dispensary. Now you can walk down the block.
Any number of things. So yeah, it's normalization. Like if you're doing your projections as a store based on the initial opening time of the like early part of the market, like you're making mistakes. Like you have to be projecting for much lower than that. Uh-oh.
Some New York shit. Let's go. Who it is?
Uh-oh.
Who it is?
Things are getting serious
Well,
outside.
Ben, go handle this shit. You know?
No, absolutely not.
And the one time we don't have a ninja with us.
Things are about to pop off in here.
Anyway, I was gonna say one of the things I gotta add. I don't know if it's on the list or not. What's up with Hotrel saying that if you smell like weed in your car, you're gonna get a DUI, bro? What kind of bullshit is that?
Super whack. Yes.
That's fucking crazy.
They're trying to
That's
roll it
nuts.
back so that you can essentially, if your car smells like weed, it's a probable enough cause for the
Like alcohol.
police to
If
say
they smell
you've been-
liquor, they can do the same thing.
So what do you think? Agree? Thumbs up? Thumbs down?
Thumbs down all the way. It's
Yeah.
one of the few
Yeah.
things in New York actually that I think is really smart about the way that the legalization has been. Like one of the two things I've talked about this all the time. Like you can smoke weed where you can smoke
Cigarettes.
tobacco, right? Period. That's simple, makes sense, logical legislation. Like some of the smartest in the whole country, you
yeah.
might say. Then separately, the concept of police not being able to say like, you're stoned, you've been smoking weed just because it smells like weed in the car. Like you could have weed in the car that's loud and it's like, what? That's ridiculous. Like,
Or they'll use it to search your vehicle. Like that's what they used to do back in the day. Like if they smelled it, they had this. The cop had one up, and like now it's like you gotta do what the fuck I say because I smell weed, and now I'm gonna take you to jail if you don't.
Open your trunk,
Then
open
you
your
find
glove.
the money. Yeah, and
100%. Yes, it'll be
Opens you
another
up to shit.
excuse.
Yeah.
So bad idea. I would say it's a bad idea. Hochul seems bad also. All right. Anyway, we're wrapping it up on the New York news. We're gonna get to some guests here at the 3rd annual New York Cannabis Retail Association event. Again, shout out to the New York Cannabis Retail Association.
Yeah, shout out Jason, shout out Brittany. Absolutely, they've been killing it, doing a lot of work.
All right, we'll be back with guests in 1 moment.
So we're at the New York Retail Association's event. This is their 3rd annual event. As you can see, we're packed out, we're smoked out. Some of the biggest brands in New York right here, from legacy to legal. Even homies just coming to support, like you see. Shout out Brittany and Jason putting this together and everybody involved. I think it speaks for itself. That damn sure speaks for itself. It damn sure. We got the OG right here. Jason, say hello. The one and only.
What's up, man?
Brittany is there. How you doing? Bro, the event is awesome, bro. Appreciate you putting it on.
Absolutely. Without the community, this shit would not be happening right now.
Breaking down barriers.
Yeah, and it just shows New York is live and well in cannabis, and we got new brands, new micros like New York Dankster out here showing that gas, meeting up with dispensaries, real business, getting down on the floor, and that's it. No performance and charades. It's just community coming together to make shit happen.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me out. And like, shout out Flower City Dispensaries. If y'all upstate, you should come check that out. Big upstate shit. How are you? Yo, tell us who got the best weed in the whole world.
Shit, forget about it, buds, daddy.
Hey.
Come see me, Brooklyn, New York. How you doing?
Let's go. Some of the best weed I smoked in this past year, 100%. Woo! Show the camera. What is that?
That's lemon berry candy. This was in the New York Growers Cup.
Hey, shout out New York Growers Cup.
Hell yeah, baby, 2025. We're coming for the cup. Let's do it.
We got the no good Staten Island boys in the house.
What up? What up?
What up, Sam? How you doing,
Sorry,
I'm
mid-interview.
sorry.
Mid-interview.
Yeah. Yo, what'd you think of the event?
It's pretty cool, man. You know, New York City, everybody's coming together. New York State. We're outside, man.
So what, we're gonna see some zooted in the legal shelves, or what do you know?
Spring 25, we're coming.
Let's go. Hell yeah, bro. Good seeing you. How you doing? Danny Green, you gotta say something.
Here, 2025 catches on the shelves here.
Let's go.
We are back with a special guest. We've got, of course, former OCM PR director, PR head, PR man.
Deputy Director of Communications who oversaw press.
Hey.
Perfect. I love that. That's a word man.
Yes, indeed.
Aaron Ghitelman. I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Ghitelman, it was close.
Ghitelman, damn it!
I know.
That's what I should have asked first. I've been assuming this whole time. Aaron Ghitelman. And of course, we still got Dr. Dank and the Kolektor over
And
here.
the Kolektor over here. You know, I actually confused you for Alan Gendelman.
Yeah, I
I
know.
was like, oh, it's not that guy.
Yeah,
No,
he hates me.
Not that guy. Different guy. But we've got, first and foremost, when did you start at the OCM?
I started the OCM in March 2022.
Okay.
So it
Pretty
gets
early.
founded in like November 2021 when it's just Chris.
Yep.
I come in March. I think Damien didn't come in until June or July. I remember when he started.
We're getting
Like,
ahead of
every day.
ourselves. How many employees were there at that point?
When I started, I was probably like 35 maybe.
35. Okay.
I think that maybe less. I was one of the first hires that didn't come directly from like another state agency.
Got it. Okay. And so it was the beginning of build up for the OCM at that point. It was like, there was no licenses really then.
I think my first CCB meeting, we issued licenses to the AUCCs, the hemp growers.
There's a lot.
Way to
Yeah,
go.
there was a lot of acronyms there. So your first.
Man, yeah,
meeting,
I'm gonna the hemp growers got cultivation license.
Right. The former licensed hemp growers were able to convert their hemp license directly into an adult use.
They had to have had their license for 4
Cannabis
years.
cultivation license.
I don't know. I think they had to have had it, and they had to have used it for at least 2 of the years that they had it. So like.
You could
But
just be
granted,
sitting
yeah,
on
most of the people who did it the first 2 years, they ate shit. The markets tank, and then they have to kind of limp with whatever they can into the adult use space.
Right. So, okay. So what did your job entail at the OCM?
My job entailed, the biggest part was just kind of, there are hundreds of newspapers, dozens of TV stations in New York, a lot of blogs, a lot of podcasts.
The media capital of America.
Exactly. People have questions, and my job was to kind of work with our team, with Chris, with Damien, with John, with our lawyers, with the governor's office, unfortunately, and figure out how we answer these questions publicly. How do we tell our story? We're about to drop a new set of regs. How do we communicate this ahead of time so people don't misread it and assume it does something different? And it means if a podcast asks, hey, can we have somebody on? Or if Damien says, hey, is it a good idea if I do this podcast? It's my job to say yes. And what I'll say is the last time I said,
Did you tell him yes to jump on our
Yeah.
podcast?
the last time I said yes to do a podcast, the person who did it got fired from their job
Yep.
like several weeks later.
Yo, shout out Damien, bro.
Shout out
So
Damien.
it's your
We love
fault,
you.
not ours.
It was way more. I mean, first off,
He was
Damien.
talking his shit, bro.
Damien
Yo.
says everything he says with his throat. I think
his heart.
I think honestly the thing he said that got him in the most trouble was I'm a socialist, which is crazy. Because I also have read Marx, and I think it's very hard to read Marx and not think he has a couple good points in there.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
So that's what got him in the most trouble.
Which is weird to me, also.
Yeah, but the government's weird.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
That's hilarious.
So what was the energy like when you first got to OCM? Was it like all go? Was it like hype? People
Oh my
excited?
God, it was.
A lot of good energy. Like,
I mean, incredible. It was this,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, there's almost this religious belief in what we were doing. And this idea that you can build a cannabis industry not on the backs of well-funded, vertically integrated corporations that exist in every fucking state across the country.
Right.
But that you can build it with the industry that already exists. We're not building an industry, we're transitioning one. And like, I mean, Chris Alexander was he was 32 when he started, a 32-year-old black man, came from an activism background. You don't see that in government. Like, that is it. And I'd worked in government before, and this was like the all-star crew. This is like people who don't come from government. I mean, we had Tabitha, who literally just left New York to run, I think she's gonna run Maryland's entire bureau. She was a deputy director. She was the same level that I was. And like, she is not the same level that I am. She is like next level, the type of person who like you don't get in government with a background that you just don't get. And we had that type of person in every single position. And in government, it's so rare to kind of everybody moves in the same direction, believes in it equally. Like, there's nobody who was appointed 30 years ago by like George Pataki who actually thinks everything you're doing is evil and is here to undercut you. We were all there, hired, like hand selected by Chris, and it was like, this is special.
You had the same mindset across the board.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like a startup.
Yeah, I mean, we got in trouble. That was
So
the language
why-
they used that got us in trouble, startup mentality.
Yes. But so I want to circle back. Previously, you said very, very quickly, you mentioned the governor's office and said dealing with them, and you said unfortunately. And I know it was a joke, but I mean that to say that.
is it? Yeah.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
But I mean more to the point that there's a separation, right? So you can be part of a state agency like the Office of Cannabis Management, which is a state agency, and it also have to deal with the governor's office, which is its own separate body that you then have to go through to deal with stuff. So if you want to get something done, if you want to communicate something, whatever, you might have to deal with them, their communication staff, and that's its own whole thing, separate from being able to just act, which is like you're not an autonomous body, right? Like you have other obligations in the government politically to deal with.
Yeah.
And so speak, please. I'd love to hear more about that.
There was some red tape,
What does
I
that mean?
imagine.
Oh
What
my
does that
God.
actually? How does that
So,
play out? You know.
In practice, in my job, so as I said, my job is to answer questions from the press. Let's say you are Ashley Southall from the New York Times. You have a question for me. I get the email from Ashley. Immediately, I alert the governor's office. I alert relevant teams at OCM. We got this inquiry. If it's from the New York Times or the New York Post or Cannabis Insider when they still existed, those were like, I wouldn't say 5-alarm fires, but it's, we're going to take this deeply seriously. So then I would draft something. I would run it by OCM. I would run it by our lawyers. But before it goes out, it goes through the governor's comms team, the governor's lawyers, and OCM, people who love cannabis. We knew that the people we were licensing were humans, were good business people, were kind of smart and ready for this.
You guys
But
were the redheaded stepchild.
yeah, and kind of the way I've described this to Ben in the past is we were the most risk-averse people in the cannabis space and the least risk-averse people within government. So we're kind of not quite a redheaded stepchild, but almost stuck in between two worlds of kind of cannabis, which up until recently was Wild West, was cowboy, was kind of do what you want, and government, which is an institution that in its current iteration has existed for hundreds of years. Like, we are dealing with decades of kind of bureaucracy of how things have to be done, how things have to operate. So like, I'd be answering a question and I would have the answer I wanted to give. And then there were people who weren't as on board with legalization, or certainly once they realized what OCM was doing, weren't on board with legacy getting in it this way.
Right.
They like.
You mean the criminals?
Oh, yo.
Sorry, that's the perspective, though, right? Like to give the
Precisely.
perspective
I
of.
literally got into a fight. I got a personal phone call from somebody very high up in the governor's office when I was defending criminals. The language I said, they describe people who went to jail with cannabis. The New York Post call them convicts, whatever. It's the New York Post. It's their job.
Sure.
They all have a job to do. So,
Clickbait.
yeah, it's clickbait.
Right.
And then I said, well, you would not describe a Jew who was interned in Germany in 1944. You don't call them ex-cons, you call them survivors. If you went to jail for cannabis and you are still here, you still want to work in this industry, you're a survivor. And that was what I said. And I got a phone call saying, are you comparing the legalization of cannabis to the Holocaust? And I'm like, no.
They
but
completely missed the message.
No, I am comparing prohibition
Completely.
to a racialized system of putting people behind bars.
Right over their heads.
Right.
And after that, it was really because we just spoke, and I'm government. I know how to get approvals. I know how to work with lawyers. That's my background. But we were just speaking two different languages. And the governor, I don't know. I've never gotten elected governor. Props to her. She thinks her constituents are people who are scared of weed. So she is going to pander to people. Notice, she hasn't smoked. She hasn't gone to a dispensary opening and bought a product and said, this is for my kid, this is for my niece, this isn't for me, but I'm happy.
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of elected officials in New York State that consume cannabis.
Yeah.
The governor's
Like our
just
mayor,
not one of them.
for instance.
Oh my God, definitely. I mean, he might.
Remember smelling that bag?
Oh, yeah,
God.
absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely. He
Still
smokes
tremendous.
for sure. He smokes for
Amazing.
sure. Absolutely.
Amazing. That's
It
not
came
just
like
like he
second
smokes.
nature
That's
to
like
him.
I have like a culture of smoking.
It was
That's like,
second nature.
I have a
to him.
stash.
He walked by the table, saw the weed, he said,
Yo.
kept walking.
Still the best.
Still the best clip ever.
I'm going to get in trouble because I'm about to say a nice thing about Eric Adams, but I think when it comes to cannabis, in a lot of ways, he was the most pro-cannabis mayor New York ever could have had. And I
mean,
think
he'd be at press conferences like, that smells good.
Remember 125th Street, the local neighborhood sued to stop a dispensary from coming.
Right.
And they asked Mayor Adams about it, and he said, if I was a restaurant on 125th Street and they were opening a dispensary right by me, hell yeah, I would want it to open.
The
so he smokes
munchies.
it, they want to, exactly.
The fuck?
He goes
And
right to
Hochul
the
wasn't
goofy
saying that.
The
stereotypes.
munchies is a real thing, man.
He went to the Madawana grand opening in Brooklyn.
Dope.
So was it always back and forth? Because I think a lot of people, and I did too, I looked at OCM like they were the state, especially early on.
Yeah.
Was it back and forth with you
Like
guys
people
then?
that
It
don't
was
pay
like
attention
fighting?
to politics or at all.
You know what I mean?
So 2022, we were kind of left alone in a way that the governor was new. She was getting her legs under her. Cuomo micromanaged everything. Cuomo, his team knew every single thing and knew how it was running and nothing slipped by him. Hochul she was getting her legs under her doing the job. So we just got to do what we did.
But you were there for both, you're saying? You were
No,
there.
I was there for Cuomo, but I know how he moved.
Got it, okay.
The biggest difference, because OCM existed only under Hochul. Right. There was a fight about who to lead the agency, and Cuomo's pick didn't get it. Chris was the state Senate's pick and the legislature's pick, and Hochul said sure. So it all changes. We're kind of allowed to do what we want. It all changes in
By the time she catches her feet, she was pissed.
Oh my God. Yeah, so December 2022.
By the time she got her bearings,
like
bro,
weed.
she was pissed.
Well,
what the hell's the OCM doing down there?
Well, it was when everyone realized Dasney was kind of lying.
Right,
when they
right.
said, we're going to have a store open, we're going to get this, we're going to do this, we have this many in the works. And OCM is saying the emperor has no clothes. And the governor's office, and Dasney was run by somebody, Reuben McDaniel, who was a government operator, was tight with people who fundraise. He had the governor's ear in a way somebody like Chris Alexander never could. So they're in a situation where he's whispering, OCM is undercutting us, they're leaking all this bad stuff, and they just said card licensees can bring their own location. We're never going to raise the money for the fund if the best licensees, if the people who show up with the most capital and most likely to succeed aren't in our build-outs. And then the governor certainly heard when her ears perked up when it was, we might not raise money.
Right,
and then
right.
the hammer came down and every single thing, it was, I could go
falling apart.
Exactly. I mean, to be fair, it started falling apart when Dasney lied to everybody.
Fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Who got Chris Webber's ass in there? Is that also you?
No,
we need him.
It was me. I was watching old Michigan
It's good for
basketball
optics.
highlights.
He's like, hey.
I called Jalen Rose first. He said, no, I'm good. We do go to the same hair guy though.
Yeah.
And then soon after that, we went to Chris Webber, and I said, time out. He's the guy. Nobody else to go with.
That was it.
Yo.
And no, I think it was. So Chris Webber's the one, because we all know who Chris Webber is.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it was
he's a legend.
former New York City controller Bill Thompson was one of the names on that fund. Lavetta Willis, like there were a couple of people, and it's you bring a name like Chris Webber. One, he tried to do this in Michigan, and he also might attract capital. But and what I'll say is it didn't always work. But and this is like me quoting Chris Alexander, is he was in this space when nobody tried. Nobody wanted to help. Like, at the end of the day, we will take people who are trying, even if they're not perfect, even if they're not there, if they actually and earnestly are doing what they can to help folks from Legacy get these stores.
So is Danzy, was that
Dasney,
part of
Dasney.
Dasney?
Dormitory
Was
Authority
it part
of the State of New York.
Was it part of the OCM to like you guys appoint them?
No.
Okay, because what
Dasney's
I'm
a
understanding,
slush fund, bro.
right? Because they pretty much just bullshitted everybody.
Yeah, they're a slush fund. They're like
What was the main dude name? Ruben.
Ruben.
I made a meme with him.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
Ruben's a large man, and he kind of was very into in-person meetings, thinking he could all like LBJ, glad hand, like shake your hand, corner you.
He was intense.
But then he met the card licensees, and they're not easy to intimidate. And
Nah,
like,
I don't know.
yeah, he was not able to trick them, and they saw past his bullshit.
He
and
got a couple of them.
He ran.
Yeah.
He ran off a stage rather than answer their questions.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
That was one of the wildest.
Yo.
He insisted it be in person. We were like, these people live all over the state. They have day jobs. Why are we making everybody come to an auditorium in Long Island City? And he's like, we'll do it in person. So we do it in person. He gets like 6 tough questions and runs off the
Gone.
stage.
He ran off the
I'm out of
stage.
here.
And then he leaves.
And he had attitude.
Oh my God. And now he works for like the Walmart Foundation.
He's gonna rob
That's
somebody else.
Yo.
So we were part of the CCTM program.
Yes.
When did
What's
that
the CC? Explain what the CCTM program is first, please. Give us some context. Tell me about it.
CCTM program was for people who had no experience, like on the books experience.
Right.
And came from the legacy market,
Growers primarily.
growers.
There was other people too, right?
Yeah, it was other
Yeah,
people.
processors.
Yeah.
But it was basically, in my head, it was mostly for like micros, right?
It was like an onboarding process, so to some extent, to be like
So
have some
it was a
familiarity
training
with the
program.
OCM.
You would be able to explain it
Yeah,
better.
so the idea, I mean, the official name, the Cannabis Compliance Training and Mentorship Program, the formal idea, in practice, the way I describe it as, they're incredibly talented cultivators with years, if not decades, of experience doing this in New York State.
Right.
And if,
Currently.
Currently. 2 years ago they were doing it. Still doing it.
Still doing it as they applied.
And the way OCM viewed it, the old OCM, the OCM I was a part of, viewed it is we would be a failure if we were not able to capture and bring those people in and you help them be a bedrock of this market.
Right.
So that was.
When did that conversation start?
I mean, that was a Damien. I think that was Damien. If I
So-
guess that was Damien and Jason Salmon. That was their baby.
It was.
And Chris always was like, go do this. This is like our responsibility. But CCTM was something that I think Damien, like, that was Damien's baby. It could be Jason's baby, but
No,
it
it was
Jason's,
definitely Damien's baby.
I know,
so
yeah.
there was like a light switch for Damien at one point. I think it was before he joined the OCM. We did a panel discussion at Joe's Barbershop, and I think it was in the summertime. You say he joined OCM when?
He joined summer or fall 2022.
I want to say fall, because when I first met him, he wasn't part of the OCM.
No.
Did you know him when he did that panel discussion in Harlem?
No, that was the one that Crystal People Stokes, that the Assembly Majority Leader, heard, was like, this guy is incredible, and called up Chris and was like, you need to talk to him.
So we had a panel discussion at Joe's Barbershop. Shout out to the team at Joe's Barbershop. They've been in Harlem for a long time, legacy operators. And Damien was following me on IG. And he was like, yo, like, would you be open to doing a panel discussion? And at the time, I didn't know how to feel about it because I was running around with a ski mask on. And like, people looked at me like I was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago. And there was another guy on there. What was his name? I forget his name, but he's a Massachusetts operator. Very big, like Walmart type brand operator. And he was like, yo, would you be willing to come on here and talk about what you do? You know what I mean? And we went up there, we had the panel discussion, and like he realized like people like me were out, like existed, where like we were breeding our own strains, we were vertically integrated, We were growing it, we were delivering it, retailing it to people, and it was a top quality brand, you know what I mean? So after the Joe's Barbershop thing, it was like, yo, like you need to get a license. Like we gotta try to figure out how to get you licensed. And then like months later, he got hired by the OCM. And then that's when the whole path to the CCTM program started. And he would like call me every once in a while, like, yo, like can we ask people this? I'm like, no, you can't ask people. You're asking people to incriminate themselves.
The CCTM the application for the CCTM program was wild. Yeah.
So I was like, look.
It was like, tell me about your history of growing. Tell me about how many pounds you're producing.
So we had that conversation
Crazy shit.
many times, and it was like, yo, how can we vet people and get people comfortable enough to like put themselves out there to try to get into this program and get a license and shit. So we had I didn't even think it was gonna happen, to be honest. And then the application came out. And it's like, where do you grow? What do you grow? How much do you grow? Like, it was all types of crazy ass questions.
Right.
And I was like, yo, bro, like, fuck it. Like, what do we got to lose at this point? There's people like me, I've only been at that point, maybe 7 years growing, right? And I had like this big gap of employment. Like, I didn't have a job. My job was growing, like cultivating, vertically integrated at a very small scale, but like that was my livelihood, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, do I put all this information out there and like completely fuck myself? Or like, does it end up working out and I'm getting a fucking license? And like, something like that has never happened in most other states.
Bro,
those licenses go to people with big capital, MSOs. I was like, you know what, bro? Like, he seemed like a good guy. He always put his right foot
His
forward.
heart was in it, bro.
I felt like it was.
I still think it is.
If we don't mention that a lot of CCTM people still have not gotten licensed.
No,
One was just
a lot
in the
of them,
room.
but
20 minutes ago.
it's the
And a
December
lot of
queue,
people
right?
did put on
December
the
queue.
provisional.
December
Yeah,
queue.
I
That's a
think
whole
that's
nother
big
issue
mistake.
that I want, like, we'll talk about eventually.
For sure.
But it's like, yo, like, those people, those applications should be reviewed. Even if they're not all rewarded licenses, like, you should at least go through every single applicant and be like, yes, you, like,
That was
don't
definitely
just
the
cut it
promise.
off at like
100%.
That's what it seemed
whatever.
like.
It's bullshit.
The promise, and I think this is one of the things that was really tough, because when
Took
you're in
everybody's
government,
money, bro.
you can't promise this group is getting a license. But when it came to CCTM, there was we will promise
Almost,
that you
yes.
get
They'll review it.
you get some things added and
perk.
special.
There'll
And
be
I
a
think
perk.
also, like, so you
Then the
both
lottery
were, you
happened.
both through CCTM. Yes. That is a level of faith in the government that I,
Crazy.
as somebody who worked in the government, am blown away by. And it speaks to Damien.
All my friends said I was crazy. They're
But,
like,
like,
you're
you're
going
not-
to jail, dude. You're
but
going to jail.
Truly,
But now
you
they're
were giving
kicking
this
themselves in
info.
the ass because
Right.
we got licenses.
I spent hours convincing legacy growers that I knew, like OG dudes, like you have to do this, you have
bro,
to do this.
apply.
Some did, some didn't, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the lottery happened. People went on the December queue that didn't have leases, which I think was a huge mistake, you know.
No.
We could talk about this forever. I don't want to dig too deep into the rabbit hole because we have another
Yes,
guest we got to bring
yes.
on. But before we let you go, I wanted to make sure you had a chance to, speak your mind. Anything parting you wanted to say while you've got
Talk
a chance
some
to
shit.
speak publicly.
I mean, let me
Positive or negative?
Cannabis and
Whatever.
myself. So
Sure.
I ran PR for OCM. I do PR now, breakfast table strategies. I know everybody who writes about weed. I know how to tell stories about weed. I know how to do this job. You open a dispensary, you have a brand, you're a cannabis tech company that's watching this podcast right now because these are the funniest guys in weed. Like, hit me up, let's chat. You know how to find me, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm a business guy.
My God.
okay,
Start
yeah,
LinkedIn doesn't.
Twitter.
LinkedIn lets you say whatever you want. All
LinkedIn
the other
X.
LinkedIn-
No,
crazy.
you're fine. You're fine.
LinkedIn
I have
X.
LinkedIn. It's just
People be fighting on
a lot of
there.
people
Yeah.
don't.
Aaron, Aaron, Ghitelman, Ghitlman. Now to talk some shit. The fact that everybody who applied in the November queue, and I'm talking about CCTM, everybody, the idea that they were all going to get licensed is a fairy tale that a bunch of lobbyists and consultants told people when they were applying. Right. They were never all going to get reviewed. They made such a stink. The governor, who is unable to process 2 sets of information at once, decides they all have to get reviewed, which now means the December queue has to wait, sit, eat shit, just kind of like till God knows when. Hochul's up for re-election next year. I don't think there's going to be another application window till 2027. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't have any inside info. When we were building this market, one of the things you're telling people, because of the 2 tiers, it's not a race. The first mover won't automatically win. Like, there's time to sit back, move quickly when you're ready to move, but sit back, find your exact place in the market. But that doesn't exist if you can't apply every 2 years, every year. If you have to wait, the last application window closed in 2023. We went all of 2024 with no way to get a license to grow weed or sell weed. So you can build a brand, that's good.
Great.
I'm mazel tov on that. I'm very excited. I'm gonna look for the sticker in stores. But like, so the idea was like, it was kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul by going through the entire November list to make December, not to mention the whole equity goals of New York State, which, by the way, we're winning. New York State, a lot of shit's fucked up. We are kicking every other state's ass. I'm between 2 people who are growing weed that we will be able to get in stores that's gonna fucking kick the ass of the weed in New Jersey and Connecticut.
Yo,
think about it.
I don't know, bro. Hell yeah. And Card was a huge success.
Exactly, Card's a huge success.
Card was cool as
The CRA event downstairs, full of people who are millionaires because of what New York State did.
A lot of people who were arrested, those same people, you know, just...
Yeah, New York...
What's gonna suck, though, is all the people who did apply, who did put CCTM, who did put themselves out there and don't get licensed.
Yep.
Is that paperwork getting burned up?
I don't know. I genuinely, I'm removing
Supposed to.
Is
but
it
I will
getting
say,
burned
They
up?
promised that.
I don't
Or
bet on
are they
sports.
gonna use that information?
I don't, but when we legalized sports betting in New York State, the state gaming authority didn't go around talking to every bookie saying, how do we get you a casino?
All right, exactly.
And Damien and Jason and others went to every legacy operator they could and said, hey, apply, we want to give you this opportunity. No special opportunity, but an opportunity. But so I think in a lot of ways, New York, it's still the best market to enter.
Right.
Still kicking fucking ass
absolutely.
and crushing it. That being said, like there were speed bumps on the way, but I don't know, like I'm a man of the Bible. Like in the biblical story of Joseph, when he kind of dreamed and he told the Pharaoh, we're gonna have 6 fat years and 6 lean years, or 12 fat years, 12 lean years. Every other state right now are the Canaanites, who are getting fat off MSOs, getting fat off kind of each state having its own unique market. When the walls come down, New York's market isn't gonna crater because we divorced retail from supply. Like, you can exist on both sides. You can be, I don't know if you're allowed to be called craft, but you can be a micro and thrive.
We're working on it.
So, so I'm bullish about New York, but it's been some time.
Did you expect it to be like that? Did you expect it? Yeah, look at this dude. He's a fucking stoner.
Oh, yeah, you could have
Did
we gotta wrap it up. We gotta wrap it
be
up.
like that?
We gotta wrap it
Yeah,
up.
I feel like Damien... Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I want to keep talking.
I always knew there was a possibility.
Yeah.
But what we accomplished is kind of more than I ever expected New York State could, and I'm deeply proud to have been a part of it.
Hell yeah. And it's an honor to interview on here, dude. It's like...
Yes.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for finally being here, especially after all you went through. So we'll be back. We'll be right back. Thank you to Aaron Ghitelman.
Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing the thing right now. Y'all had to come see my boy Puma right here.
One of the best little podcasts out right now, man.
I Smoke New York.
They gotta
some
keep
of
doing
the best pre-rolls, you heard?
Oh yeah, man. You know, P-Rolls out here, Super Awesome Express. Yeah, I used to sell sour from the Bronx on Burnside. Now look at me, America.
Hey, let's go, brother.
Right,
hell yeah. What's up, OG? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Golden State Banana in the house.
Man, you know I love this shit. We live this shit, so nothing makes me happier than walking in the store and seeing like the bros, like the ones who you know did it, the ones who you know are in it, living it.
So this is my boy Honest Farm. This is Jeremy. He's from upstate. My boy lived like a stone throw from my house. Say hello real quick, Jeremy.
Hello.
Jeremy from upstate. This is my boy Honest Farm. What up, Manny?
What's the word? What's the word?
I'll slap that ass.
Because everything's been an amazing day. You heard?
Slap that ass. Rare peak of Fabian. The OG in Jackson Heights. Come on, say hello to the people, man.
What up, people?
Hey.
We're back, and Joe's smoking weed behind the camera. That's great. That's a good sign. We are back here. We've got Eli, the owner of Elevate ADK.
Hey.
Are we going full names here? I don't want to,
Yeah.
Eli from Elevate.
Please, let's just go with that. It's fine.
One of the best
a pioneer in
dispensaries.
carrying micros on his shows.
You guys are upstate in the Adirondack region?
Adirondacks?
Lake
Yeah, right
Placid?
outside of Lake Placid. Yeah, Saranac Lake. Shout them out.
And I would say have distinguished yourselves as a place that specifically has talked about and carries micros.
Yes.
And is also very vocal about companies and people who have signed the injunctions.
Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah. I've got a lot to say on that type of stuff for sure. You know, there's a lot that New York State needs to do with these licenses that they're not doing. And unlimited micros is definitely one of them.
Hey,
you know, like
absolutely.
I'll say it first to say it. But yeah.
So when did you, just to let people know for context, when did you open your dispensary? When did you get licensed? When did you get all this stuff?
First started licensed May of 2023. We started with delivery, 10th license in the state to begin operating. And then we got caught up in that injunction over the summer, and we opened up in October.
That was the injunction with the veterans.
Yep, that was a veterans injunction. We were inspected. I had my sticker. We had everything ready to go. I had $250,000 worth of product. OCM said, yeah, congratulations, you're ready to go. The next day the injunction hits and stonewalled. Nothing.
Couldn't sell nothing.
I couldn't. I just kept doing delivery because what are we gonna do? Like I got $250,000 worth of product sitting on the shelf that expires eventually.
Right.
And the state has left me with pretty much no option. So yeah, we were stuck doing just as much delivery as we could for a few months until that injunction passed, and then we were the first shop opened up after that injunction ended. Which along with like Terp Bros and a couple other people opened up right as soon as that came out. So yeah.
You were card then, or you
yep,
guys are
card license.
Card? All right,
Yep,
gotcha.
yep.
Dope.
So you opened in, you said in
October of 2023. Yeah.
2023.
We opened the storefront.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So
Going
but
on
you
2
were
years.
open for delivery before that.
Yeah, we've been doing it since May of 2023. So we've been working with the New York legal industry since the very beginning.
Yeah.
You
like
know,
very
back
early.
in the, you know, when it was just Nana Coke and like a few other little brands, and yeah, not much to choose from.
The good old days.
Yeah, quality was subpar.
I don't know about good, but
Yeah, they were days. We got through them.
Days.
You know, we got through them the best we could with supporting the best people we could at the time.
Yeah.
And as more people came out to support, we started supporting them, and it's all about quality. That's all we're pushing. That's like all I want to push is who's got the best quality and who's good people. You know. That's pretty much it.
And y'all have represented micros hard. Like I know you were our first drop. You were
who's
what,
the
Lead
first
Farmer?
micro on your shelf?
Lead Farmer. Lead Farmer
Shout
was
out Lead Farmer.
Yeah,
Hey.
Lead Farmer. Lead Farmer.
yeah.
Phil's the homie. He's the first micro to drop a product onto the retail market.
Fire.
Not being sold at their own dispensary. I think Lotus Wellness was the first micro to like open up, and there's a couple others that shortly opened up after. But
Dope.
yeah, Lead Farmer was the first guy to start doing wholesale retail, and we were proud to take
And they
him
started
on.
coming out.
Yep, it was that indoor game was starting, and we just since then we've just supported anyone who's been coming out with quality product.
Oh yeah.
Have you found it difficult at all to sell or to educate customers, I guess, about the difference between stuff that might be more expensive or stuff that's from micros versus stuff that you were carrying when you initially opened?
Yeah, definitely. There's like, around us, it's just like the rest of New York. There's other options. Like there's cheaper weed. Around us, we're not too far from a reservation where you can get very, very, very cheap weed.
Yeah.
Not super high quality. So I think that, the quality sell was kind of easier for us because it was something that a lot of people didn't have access to up there actually, because we're just removed from markets like New York City that have, legacy growers that are producing really good quality and have been for a while. So it took a while to get people to kind of pay that price point that this stuff comes at, which is, very warranted, the price that it comes at. And I think that once people saw the quality and the difference, they were happy to pay it. And that's what we've experienced now, is that it's just people are happy to come in and know they're getting quality products. And that's what sells, And that's a message to every dispensary out there. That's what sells.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Quality.
Yeah.
It's not a flashy Mylar. It's not. It's quality weed inside.
Because you look at Lead Farmers, it's real simple packaging.
Yeah,
black
super
and
simple
white.
packaging. Yeah.
But you open a jar and you got some fire.
Yeah, no, and that's like most of these micros are doing it from the bottom, just very simple stuff, nothing crazy, no insane budget for marketing.
Yeah.
They're going door to door, meeting people, networking the natural
Most of the
way.
micro growers are delivering it themselves.
Yeah.
And the way I've met micros the most is they just crack a jar of something and go here, and I go, fuck yeah,
That's how you do it.
That's what we're talking about. Like, okay, now it's like I'm not touring some facility where I have to pretend like your essentially biomass hemp is something I want to sell to people for $40 an eighth.
Right.
It's a tough one to swallow because it's like I wouldn't want to sell something to somebody I wouldn't smoke.
Right.
I'm just not in that game of pushing whatever it might be, but.
Mitch.
There's some mids. There's definitely some mids. There's some lows.
Great word.
Right?
Yeah, lows. No, yeah, mids is gracious for some of the stuff that has made it to the shelves of New York Cannabis, Rec Cannabis. And it's a shame because you really, hear a lot of stuff about legacy cannabis, but I've never seen legacy cannabis as bad as I've ever seen the rec cannabis. The rec cannabis is way worse. No one's ever brought me shit like that from the street and expected me to buy it.
Right.
You know, like I don't know.
Proud to show it to you.
Exactly. I'm not in that network maybe, but I've never seen stuff as bad as what these AUCC people were trying to push and get away with for, $40, $50 an eighth, and it was. Yeah, it was a time.
They had to drop the lab testing just so that weed could be sold legally in New York, like in the beginning.
They weren't able to pass.
Yeah, no, there's no point in creating a system that makes everyone grow in a manner which is going to create these high levels of things in mold and yeast and bacteria in the cannabis. Like, that's to be expected. Anyone who had any type of education about cannabis would have told you that, like, yeah, guys, we've tried this outdoors in New York. It doesn't work that well.
We tried telling them.
You get lucky every once in a while, but that's about it. Like, it's tough.
What's the craziest shit you found in a jar of weed? Because the first jar of legal weed I ever bought had a whole cotton seed in it, from a tree, a literal seed. Like, you can see that bit.
There's some stuff that has definitely caused me and other people like slight allergic reactions due to like probably pollen and other contaminants from outdoors. Where it was like someone came back and was like, I was like hives in my throat, like. I was very allergic to this.
I was wheezing when I was
and I was just like, oh shit, and I pulled that shit off the shelf, like can't sell it. And like other stuff people bring back and you look at it and it's just like brown pellets and you're like, what? Like I was selling that? Because people do the switcheroo was very, very common early on.
Show you one thing, sell you another. Oh man.
Yeah, I
this
mean
is
like
my head stash, but this is what I'm gonna
not to name, but like dude, like the stuff I saw was not what shipped.
Right. Oh,
that
the
first drop.
Okie
Yeah, it was an old switcheroo.
Do you eat that or do you send it back?
No, I didn't even pick it up. Luckily, just the samples that I got, and then I talked to other growers and other stores and stuff about their experience.
Have you ever had
a
situation where you paid for product and it was you couldn't even sell it?
You send it back. I sent back whole order, $7,000-$8,000 orders. Come pick this up. I'll take the credit. I'll buy some distillate vapes and try to move those or something.
Sure.
Flower, right?
Yeah, that's just what you got to do. I mean, some people got to do.
How is the quality now compared to when you started? Because you saw from the very beginning.
Great, bro. Now he's got Lead Farmer.
Oh yeah,
he's got Dankenstein. He's got the Kolektor. You got Sunwalker now.
Oh yeah, I got
Sunwalker.
Yeah, we could all down the list. Yep, I got them all. We got 6 Point in there too.
6 Point's fire.
We got Taproot, New York Grower Cup winner. We got that Super Booth on the shelf right now. That same batch that won the cup, it's on the shelf. Come get it.
I smoked some of that too. It's great.
Fire. I got some pre-rolls on me right now, man.
Stop at Elevate ADK if you want that grower stuff. Super Bowl.
But yeah, we've got, all the stuff that we have now is like our whole bud bar. I'd smoke every single one of them, like happily. It's stuff that is just all good weed. It's all different. We're working with these micros, and the micros are small, craft, and it's all going to be different. It's not like the same 10 strains that everyone's been growing. Shout out Humboldt Seeds, not really, but those genetics just like, man, like the market's been flooded, bro.
I walked into
crazy.
A dispensary and they had like Blue Dream on the screen.
Yeah.
Green crack. I'm like,
yeah,
they're not growing this stuff.
Jelly,
There's no way they're growing this
blueberry
stuff.
muff.
No, but you can write whatever you want in the packaging. There's no regulation around that.
That's the other thing too. Yeah, there's people growing the kind of old genetics that everyone's used to and that aren't that really special. And that's what people are looking for. Like, yeah, the blue. I'll be honest. I have Blue Dream on my menu. It's Humboldt Blue Dream. It's from an outdoor greenhouse grower. It's just great. People
go to what they know.
People love it. He's an organic farmer. He's been farming for 30 plus years on his property. Grows really good weed. They take a really good job at like trimming it, packaging it. The quality control is awesome, and it's at a good price point for people. And that's all some people want. Like, there's no need for them to go to that next realm and buy Kolektor's $60 eighth of like, the best flower they've ever probably smoked in their life.
Sure.
But they don't need that maybe. They do just like Blue Dream. Like Blue Dream always does it for them. So.
Good mids.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong, and I don't mean this in a mean way. I mean this in a literal way, in a price way, in a $30 way, right?
Yes.
Like that's what we're talking about. I'm not saying like
price.
mids in like the shitty like negative way. I mean that literally. Yeah, mid-tier price, and that's a lot of people in the market, and that's good. That's fine. There's a good product for those people. Is good. That's not. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
At all, and you're gonna have customers from all different levels. Like we met someone at the bakery, a guy, and we were like, "Yo, we just dropped off a strain. Go try it." He's like, "Nope, I buy the same strain, $25 eighth every time I come."
There you go.
And I'm not budging.
Right.
Like, all right.
No, that's going to be some people. And you do have to cater to those people in the retail world. There's no point in trying to ignore that
you gotta
customer.
have some for everybody.
No.
And I'll be honest, for all the kind of higher level, top shelf growers out there, most of the rec market is not even aware that that exists. They're just not. Like the stuff that you see, you know, from all these growers right now that are coming out, they don't even comprehend that. It's not really on their radar. Like they're not even looking for it, you know? And so you do have to cater to those people, because if they walk into your store and all you have is $60 eighths, they're gonna be like, what is this?
Else, yeah.
You know?
And I think some of it too, like, cause you were
gotta run a
trapping
business
packs
at the end of the
before.
Yeah.
Like you were in the legacy industry before this, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so like we're still, the legal market's still competing against illicit weed, and you can get good quality weed for pretty cheap now.
Oh, yeah, it's
you know, I
calm
see
down.
farmers because of this like selling stuff for $600 a pound, and it's like that's crazy compared to 10 years ago when it was like $3,200 a pound.
Oh, easy, yeah.
You know, so it's definitely
And those markets that tanked, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Texas is the only strong market left that's like got any type of legacy
they're-
potential. That's where I used to do some business. Is Texas? This is good business down there.
That's
He's a
spicy
beast,
out
son.
there.
That's a
too.
wild
Oh,
place
not
to be
from
doing
Texas. No,
Oh,
never
no.
cross that state line.
Wow, yeah, yeah.
Don't cross that state line. You gotta coming back, that's for sure.
God.
No, but
Nah.
they're crazy with the
So-
hemp dispensaries out there.
They have that new injunction out now, right? That a bunch of people signed. Not new, but
Not
like
an
a couple months old.
Injunction, yeah. Well,
Oh, the lawsuit
The letter,
thing? Or-
the letter that came out.
Sure.
Not injunction. Scratch that.
Not an injunction. No.
yeah.
There was a petition or a letter that was signed
Yeah.
limiting.
With the intent of
licenses.
asking the government.
Not telling them they should throw the list away, but limiting the licenses.
Or they should slow
And
it.
I know you have a
slow.
strong opinion against that, right?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, no, I'm on that list. You can find my name on that list. I signed it with the intent of, I mean, and maybe the organization behind it in general is their intent is different than mine.
Right.
But I would like to see New York take some type of hard look at what it is going to take to have a successful market and an equitable market for all the people involved. And I'm not saying that limiting people into that market is you know the perfect solution, but you can look at other markets and you can see that if too many people get in, what happens is that race to the bottom,
Happens
and then a lot of people sell out, and then who's there to buy stuff? Oh, giant MSO corporations who can come in and buy your licenses and either just close down your location because they're going to put one in there eventually, or somehow take over your store and just use it as an outlet for their type of products.
Right.
You know, like that happens in a lot of places. There's a lot of places where the craft market has just been decimated because at the end of the day, these craft businesses get pushed out and then they end up selling, and then where's the craft weed? It's like, oh, well, no one supported it, and you know we just let in too many licenses. I mean, there's a lot to it for sure, you know.
So is your concern more specifically within retail, you know, than is other different licenses? Because like I hear the debate, a lot of people really upset about that, and it's like you can flip it around for the debate's sake and be like, well, you don't want unlimited huge grows, you know, it's like the same kind of thing,
Right.
you know. And I would have never applied for just retail because of that fear. Like I've seen it, my buddies in other states, and that's a scary thing to think they could just open it up. The MSOs will pop up next to you and undercut your price until you sell your store to them. Like that's a real thing.
Yeah,
like
just go out of business.
and it's like that's a
Oh
crazy
yeah, they can take the cuts because I mean, you look at Curaleaf's, you know, for example, their financials, and they'll lose a ton of money one year, but then they'll make it back the next year, and they'll lose, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they'll make $1 billion.
They can afford to bleed out.
So it's like they can manipulate markets to the tune of you know amounts that most businesses can't even fathom.
Right.
You know, I mean, you guys are talking about what, a $5 million build out? That's pocket change to Curaleaf.
Right.
You know,
I know.
like bleeding you a $5 million out of your business is no problem for them.
Crazy.
You know, and it's like what they were just trying to do and open that store here in Queens. They were trying to open up next to 2 dispensaries, and they wanted to have 85 registers, the second highest amount of registers in the country, next to the Las Vegas store.
Right.
And there's just no grounds for that. But I mean, they rescinded. But the fact that was even, they were pushing for that was just like, that's gross.
Sure.
You know, that's what they want to do, and those businesses surely would be heavily affected. You know, and that's like, you know, and the state has actually done a tremendous job compared to a lot of states in slowing down those ROs. They are charging them a pretty penny, you know, compared to a lot of places. And so they're doing some good stuff with that, I'd say. But at the end of the day, there should have been a much more delayed entry to market for the ROs.
They're supposed to be. They paid to get in early, did
exactly,
they?
yeah, they did, yeah. And they manipulated all of that and the whole public thing, and they was like, oh, we're going to donate to social equity, but you have to let us in, and we'll pay you all that money, and it'll go to social equity. And it's like, okay, well, it's not really equitable for a bunch of micros to open into a market they can't compete in. And that's mostly my fear, is that a lot of these craft industry people will not be able to survive the long run. And I don't want to see that, because then where's my store without craft cannabis? Like, then I'm just selling shitty product.
Sure, right.
Which is where I don't want to see it go. And because we're not a micro retail, and we can't just try and weather the storm ourselves, and just grow really good product and rely on like a good customer base, which I think will work for some micros. I think that is definitely a model. I mean, you already see the legacy guys doing it. You have a list, it goes out, you're sold out in a week. Like, if you can do that at a micro retail and have people chilling and coming and hanging out with you, like,
and if it's single sourced, you can keep competitive pricing.
Exactly. If you're not having to do that whole retail markup where you sell it to me and I got to make a profit off it, and that profit margin has to be somewhat large because of the financial difficulties of the cannabis industry.
Has to be almost double. Because of what we're about to pay on our federal fucking taxes is ridiculous. It's a lot. So until that changes, the margins are kind of what they are, and so it's tough. It's tough, but we're making it work, keeping the overhead low,
Well, and that's why I was going to say, when we talked about this on the last one, is like, you have a smaller shop, like you have a crew that knows what they're doing.
Small crew.
Yeah, a very small crew.
Like, there's no idle hands. Like, people are doing stuff. If you're not working, like, if you're not working, you're learning. Like, you're on, like, you're reading articles, you're doing whatever, and if you're not doing that, you're stamping bags. Like, there's always some shit to do.
Putting dank seals on that he didn't put on.
They did the same shit.
You did the same thing.
It's not just you.
Yo, shout out you. You helped us a lot, like, in the beginning.
All our first partners helped us a lot. Yeah, it was like, I call
a lot of learning pains.
I call them the Four Horsemen, the original Four Horsemen.
I mean, even
Elevate,
Bakery,
Good Life, Bakery, and Flowery. They were the original Four Horsemen. And like,
Flowery
everybody
be
helped.
strict.
I was surprised they took our product.
Compliance officer, because
I was surprised they took our product.
That sounds like a good person to talk to, honestly.
Genuinely surprised they took my product.
Yeah. No, they caught somebody else just recently that I was talking to on something, and they said, nope.
Yes.
That was with you, right?
It was with North
It was
Fork.
North
Fork.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were like, hey, sorry, that's not right. You got to fix that. And I was just like,
they're correct.
I was like, damn, like, I didn't even know, like, it looked okay.
It looks fine.
It looks good.
Right.
It looks good.
It's there.
Yes.
It's like, why does it have to be white and black?
Right.
It's there.
It's like prop money. It looks really real till you look at it, and then it's like, oh wait, there's a little difference, and that's all it was.
That's all it was. Yeah.
A background.
We had huge help from Mike at the bakery.
Yeah, he knows his shit.
He was like, he called you after he received our product.
Yeah, I was just there today.
And he was like, yo, you don't have this, you don't have this. I was like, fuck. He's like, don't worry, I'm gonna put my own on it.
Yeah.
And he did it. And then you had to do something. You printed something out yourself as well.
Yeah. All good.
It happens. This is the stuff. This is like learning pains in the beginning that you'll correct next time or whatever, right?
No, yeah.
It sucks, though. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's tiny too. It's such a minuscule thing.
It's little stuff.
And they can be fixed. You can just always throw a sticker on there.
That's what we're doing.
I think every single micro that is dropped with us, except for 6 Point and Taproot, maybe have had one little tiny issue.
Thing, right?
But Taproot had been doing stuff.
Yeah.
We don't have a compliance officer. It's kind of like a pooled effort. You know what I'm saying?
It's a group effort.
All three of us, me, Sensei, and Ozzy, and we kind of overlooked a couple things.
Yeah.
But we'll be there good this next harvest. Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap it up. But before we go, I don't want to just suddenly be like, let's be out. Real quick, let me put you the $10 million question. How do you convince all these other dispensaries to become more craft focused, to become more quality focused? What's the way to convince the person that's saying, like, I can't get a 300% return on this? Why would I buy this?
Yeah, because you don't double up on our product, lead farmers, you know what I mean?
No, not everything. We don't need to. And that's the thing, too, is like, not every single business, if you look at a restaurant, not every single menu item is going to have the same exact margin. Right. Doesn't make sense. You're going to have stuff that makes you more money, you're going to have stuff that makes you a little less money. Right. And the stuff that makes you a little less money, it's valuable to be on your menu because people come for that. Yeah. And they'll buy the stuff that, it's just like most things in retail actually work like that. There's always like a give and a take. And so I think that people have to realize that the dispensaries that are going to last are the ones that bring that value to their customer, and that value is going to cost you. Like, that's it. Like, it's the quality is what it is. Like, the charge is what the charge is. You've got to pay to play. Right. And I think that's like what people really need to understand, is that if you want people coming back for a product over and over and over, or just knowing that the products they get from you are going to be quality, which is where our customers are at. That I've got so many customers who come in and just say, whatever you want, Eli. Hey, like, yeah, exactly. Whatever you want, man. Like, I trust you. I get them something, they come back the next week, they want this.
Yeah.
They trust it. Like, there's just they feel safe. And that's like a lot of dispensary experiences. I feel like people are guarded because they've been to dispensaries, they bought shitty product, and they know bud tenders bullshit. Like, I feel like our bud tenders are honest, and they're able to be honest because the quality matches what they want to say to people. Right. Like, if your quality is mids and your bud tender is sitting there with a big giant smile and telling you it's the best weed you're going to smoke and it's going to make you feel like this, and you get it and it's awful.
You're deceiving them.
Yeah, you're going to have that's a very negative retail experience, and it's one that's very common in dispensaries, and there's people who have completely just foregone dispensaries now. They're like, I've experienced this, I've been to Colorado, I've been to this place, I've seen it all, like I've heard the tricks, and it never is what they expect it to be.
Yeah.
In so many scenarios, and I feel like that's where you lose customers, and that's where we're trying to build customers.
So it's hard to make a bad recommendation when everything you have is good.
Exactly. Right. Like, that's a good fallback. That's
easy
really
to sell good
weed.
So to speak.
Exactly. It's easy to sell good weed. Put that on a shirt.
And I think it's big too. I think it's big that you will, like, say, buy a product from a micro as limited amount, and you will actually make less profit if necessary, on that product. But I think a lot of dispensaries are just trying to make the most bang on their fucking product, That's a big deal.
That's like Kolektor was saying last time, where if your overhead is high because you've gone above and beyond to create something unsustainable, that's on you as a business owner. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we went into this self-funded, very low, less than 50, less than 40 really.
Hell yeah.
To open. And that's all self-funded. We're debt-free. We're 100% owned. Like, just, and that's why we're able, and I'm able to make these decisions that I know are in the long run going to benefit the business immensely versus like, oh, what's my best return on, this product at the time, even if it doesn't create a return customer, doesn't create that experience that people are looking for in a dispensary, and then you wonder why people aren't coming back. And if you have to rely on foot traffic alone, like, good luck in the long run, because I don't know if you've looked at that proximity map, but you're not going to be alone for much longer. Like me, like, I'm on an island, dude. I don't have anyone for an hour.
But that's why it's good to have products that tell a story too. Like, Dank's brand tells a story. Growers Cup tells a story. Kolektor, it all tells a story beyond just like a picture on an Instagram page promoting that it's going to be here, you know what I'm saying?
A lot of brands are starting at zero.
And New York's a big state. There's a lot of people out there in this industry and in this culture. And it's, New York's good at like mixing it all around, and people love that,
Dude,
like, people love supporting.
And the culture is like, it's so cool because we see your store, which you're in like Saranac and has a different vibe, than like an inner city store, but it's like just as much of the culture. Like, you got the same people coming chilling with the dogs, doing the thing. It's like, it's a cool thing, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. We're going to wrap it up here, though. Thank you very much for being here, Eli.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody else.
Yeah, I appreciate you,
Huge shout out, of course, again to Fabian for taking all the photos. Fabian from
Jackson Heights.
To Joe Gasroots, doing all behind the camera. And David, our producer, of course. Huge shout out to the New York Cannabis Retail Association for having us. Thank you so much. You want to shout out anybody there in particular? Jason and Brittany, of course.
Jason, Brittany.
And, for having us, for giving us the space to shoot in. Very much appreciated. We'll be back next month with another episode of I Smoke New York. Peace out all.
Peace.
Peace. I don't know if I can do it. Good night, Grow Fam.